every Wednesday evening. So let me tell you a little bit about us. Some of you may not know this, but we are a Center for Digestive Health and Nutritional Excellence. And even though I was trained as a pediatric gastroenterologist, I like to practice medical nutrition, and I have an additional certification as a medical nutrition specialist. And we integrate the practice of medical nutrition with conventional therapy for GI disease, for conditions like inflammatory bowel disease, irritable bowel syndrome, chronic constipation, abdominal pain, and the like. Even non-gastrointestinal diseases like hypertension and diabetes can certainly benefit from integrating medical nutrition. We've done demonstrations here before. We've had lectures here before. And Joan approached me a few months ago about the idea of having a class here on a regular basis. And I'm very busy, I've been very busy. But I said, sure, of course, you're more than welcome to. And we said we would start it really small. So we only had a couple of patients, or not even patients, a couple of students the last few weeks. And then this week, we wanted to have a special guest, Sachi, Kato, who is a macrobiotic chef, come here. And she's wonderful not just because of her cooking, but because of the way she explains things and teaches you about the inherent qualities of food in ways that I think Western medicine and Western philosophy really doesn't. It draws you into the food. It makes you understand that food is not just calories. Food is nutrition. Food is sustenance, something that I think Western societies have, for some reason, dropped that concept altogether. Everywhere you go, you see calories being posted. Nowhere do you really think of food as being something that is sustenance, that is nutrition. So I love that about Sachi, and you'll see exactly why.
Awesome. Thank you.
This class is going to be every Wednesday, and we're going to be cycling this on a probably 6-month basis. So probably twice a year we'll restart from the beginning. We'll adjust our syllabus and see which classes are better attended. But we're hoping to have maybe some people like Sandy join us periodically. Right. She's like a natural salesperson. She can convince anyone to do anything. And
thank you. I love him.
Yeah, and I walk her dog in the evenings. So I don't know how she talked me into that. And lastly, I want to just take a minute to point out this article that was just published in Journal of American Medical Association Internal Medicine, and it was published just June 17th, 2013. It's an e-publication ahead of online publication ahead of print. I actually gave you the wrong article. I gave you the one that was published in American Journal of Clinical Nutrition by the same group, 2011, and I meant to give you this one, which was published in 2013, just last week, June 17th. Yeah, exactly last week. It's an update. They looked at changes in red meat consumption and subsequent risk of type 2 diabetes mellitus. The previous one in 2011 was titled Red Meat Consumption and Risk of Type 2 Diabetes, 3 cohorts of U.S. adults in an updated meta-analysis. They actually looked at 4 million person-years of follow-up using the Nurses' Health Study 1 and Nurses' Health Study 2, something called the NHANES. And their conclusion back in 2011 was that red meat consumption, particularly processed red meat, is associated with an increased risk of type 2 diabetes. The update looks at changes in red meat consumption and subsequent risk of type 2 diabetes. And again, they looked at the same kind of studies which looked at people's nutrient intake, and they followed 26,000 men in the health professionals follow-up study, so a different database, but also the NHANES. So overall, that was assessed by a validated food frequency questionnaire and updated every 4 years. And their main outcome was the incidence of type 2 diabetes cases as validated by supplementary questionnaire. So they followed men and women over almost 2 million person-year follow-ups, 1,965,000 and so on. And they were able to document 7,540 new cases of type 2 diabetes. In the multivariate adjusted models, increasing red meat intake during a 4-year interval was associated with an elevated risk of type 2 diabetes during the subsequent 4 years in each cohort. And this was a p-value of less than 0.001, which is very statistically significant. Compared with the reference group of no change in red meat intake, increasing red meat intake of more than half a serving per day was associated with a 48% elevated risk in the subsequent 4-year period, and the association was modestly attenuated after further adjustment for initial body mass index and concurrent weight gain. Reducing red meat consumption by more than half a serving per day from baseline to the first 4 years of follow-up was associated with a 14% lower risk during the subsequent entire follow-up through 2006. Conclusion, increasing red meat consumption over time is associated with an elevated subsequent risk of type 2 diabetes mellitus, and the association is partly mediated by body weight. Our results add further evidence that limiting red meat consumption over time confers benefits for type 2 diabetes mellitus prevention. Why is this so important? It's really important because I get a lot of referrals from endocrinologists who want me to help patients get on a healthier diet for their diabetes. But the number one recommendation from a lot of endocrinologists and internists is to actually eat more meat because it's sugar-free. And everyone associates diabetes with the consumption of carbohydrates and sugars. What we're learning now, really only over the past 5 to 6 years, is that diabetes and obesity in general is an inflammatory disease. It's not just a disease where your insulin receptors stop working or stop responding to insulin. There's inflammation in the body, and different kinds of things can cause inflammation, and genetics certainly plays a huge role, but the insulin receptors stop working due to an inflammatory response. And the inflammatory response is not just because of overconsumption of sugar, which can certainly lead to poor sensitivity by the insulin receptors, but red meat, which we know is a very pro-inflammatory food, can actually secondarily lead to insulin resistance. So when you talk about attenuating risk for diabetes or even for obesity, it's important to try to focus not just on reducing carbs and sugar. It's important on trying to have a low inflammatory index diet. A diet that will be able to reverse inflammation. And that includes eating less red meat, less sugar, less fried food, less adulterated oils, more good fats, monounsaturated fats like in avocados and olives, and nuts and seeds, more omega-3s, more fish possibly, and more vegetables like kale, which are rich in omega-3s as well, and other vegetables that I think Sachi could probably tell you more about. But remember, obesity, diabetes, and a lot of other Western diseases are not just the product of eating a certain food or not eating another food. It's an entire diet that hopefully can attenuate inflammation in the body. So how do we reduce inflammation? I will turn it over to Sachi Kato, who will demonstrate today a quinoa salad and a miso soup, which have very low inflammatory index.
You were here last time, maybe?
You've just seen me on TV.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
I toot my own horn.
I do it too.
Think you don't toot your own horn, who else will? Why say anything bad about yourself when enough people do it for you?
Yeah. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you very much for Doron to invite me to have opportunity to speak in front of you. I'm gonna make, everybody has recipes right now? Yes? Okay. I am a macrobiotic chef and instructor, cooking instructor, and I really love to share what I know. And have you ever heard of macrobiotics? Or it's a holistic cooking. It's not just a diet. It's a whole lifestyle dynamics. And a mostly plant-based diet, eating around the whole grains. And you know, like all kinds of whole grains we have, it's like in a modern diet, unfortunately, after industrial revolution, a lot of grains started to refine. So white rice and white flours, those are grain, but it's all stripped down the old nutrients. So unfortunately, that's what we've grown up with. And what that then happens is a lot of nutrients are stripped away, and sugar balance is no longer stabilizes on refined whole grains. Refined grains. So macrobiotic is not. It's a movement to, like, we're going back to like eating whole grains because that's the fuel to our essential life. If you imagine like making a fire, and you make this newspaper and then little chips and then log, right? So think about white rice or white flours. It's like you're burning fuel with the newspaper. So it's like burns and then that's it. The whole grain is like log. So you get like sustainable, like long-lasting energy when we eat whole grains. So anyhow, so I'm gonna start making quinoa salad today. Do everybody knows quinoa? No? So
We're virgin.
this is this is what it is. I think it's native from South America. You know, like Mayan people or civilization, the Incas, the people eat this. It's a grain. We call it grain, but it's actually from wild grass family. So it has a lot of nutrient like protein. It's actually protein-rich grains. It's very rare to have this much protein in this grain.
Sachi,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I noticed that you soaked.
No, I just washed.
You washed.
I
you
need.
rinsed it?
Yeah, it has to be washed.
Why does it have to be washed?
Oh, because it's we don't know how it's staged or how it's transported. So of course there is dust in the factory, and so we always soak. Wash grains.
Does it come in a
Better.
box or a bag? What does it look like?
This
So I
was
could get it. Yeah, so
I picked it up from Co-Opportunity, but I also bought the bag from Trader
Well, let me
Joe's.
take a
So we
picture
can
now.
we can pass it around so you can see it, right? So So let's just pass it around.
Yeah, a minute. I'm going to take a picture so I know what it looks like. Okay, 1 second. There it is. Good, now I can get it.
Yeah, quinoa. Yeah, but I think it has many varieties like black quinoas, red quinoas.
Gluten-free too.
Yeah, it's great, gluten-free. It's a very good source. It has carbohydrate, of course, minerals like irons and calcium. So it's actually great for osteoporosis as well. It's very high in minerals.
It's great for what?
Osteoporosis.
Okay.
And also lowering cholesterol levels as well. So those who trying to eat plant-based diet and kicking off meat, this is a great source to eat.
So it helps lower cholesterol?
Yep. And cleanse blood as well.
So it has calcium in it?
Yes, has a rich in calcium as well. As a grain, yes. It's more so in quinoa than brown rice. Yeah, quinoa is very rich in mineral. So this is 2 cups of grain. So I'm gonna add 3 cups water. This one. It's about 1.5 to 1.75 times water you need per cup of quinoa.
Four cups.
Yeah, 4 cups? Okay, thanks. So 1 more, a little bit less. Okay, so let it steep.
Oh, videotaping it.
So you have to let it boil. So I'm gonna leave it. And then today I'm gonna cook with these beets. So this is already chopped. The red beets.
Oh, red beets?
Yeah, it's kind of nice and like sweet, and it's great for the summertime. I don't really use it for the winter time because it's a little bit cooling. So macrobiotics is we talk about what is warming food, what is cooling food. So this is the summertime, and this is very great for right now to have it. And this is also full of antioxidants, right?
Beta carotene.
Beta carotene and vitamins. I think.
Can dogs eat beets? Do you know?
I don't know about dogs. But they have many different
Anything I
things.
think is always from my dog too.
Right, yeah. But they can't have onions and garlic, that's for sure.
They can or can't?
They cannot.
No.
Yeah, I think it causes anemia.
They don't get that. Carrots they eat.
Mm-hmm. And this one also does relaxes our liver. Because a lot of time our livers are contract. It's easy. If we eat like animal protein a lot or baked food, those are extremely warming foods. What it does to a liver is really contracts. So it's interesting because we also do facial diagnosis, and liver shows up right here, and then people have lines here, meaning liver is very tight. So
I
this
thought
is,
that's what my third eye is.
well, yeah,
That's why
it is. It's the point, but yeah, it indicates liver. So this relaxes the liver as well.
How many cups is this?
This is 2 small beets.
So you chopped it then? They were sliced and you just chopped it?
Chopped it small.
Did you cook them or from a can? Are you raw?
This is raw.
Raw.
This is raw.
Oh, it's raw beef.
Yeah, raw beets. Chopped it. But I'm going to cook with beets. I mean the quinoa.
Did you already cook the beets? You haven't yet. You mean you got
This
a
is
raw
raw.
beet?
Raw
Okay.
beet just chopped.
How long are you cooking for?
Once it comes to boil, and put a little pinches of salt, like a pinch per cup.
And what kind of salt? Sea salt?
Sea salt. I'm going to show you. This one is excellent salt from Mexico. Yeah, please use sea salt. Table salt is so bad for
Yeah,
you.
but is there, I have sea salt. Does it matter what kind of sea salt or does it?
Yeah, there's different kinds. So I don't know any like many brands
So
out
this is
there.
better?
This is great. Yeah, my teacher recommended this to me.
Okay.
It's called SI salt, sea salt, SI salt. I think it sells at maybe Whole Foods or maybe natural food store.
Do you want me to pass this?
I gotta take a picture.
Do you need to?
Yeah, you can pass it around.
Do you want to pass it? You got one.
I'll send you royalties if I just
You know.
Huh?
And meanwhile, just let it boil. I'm gonna talk about.
Do you put the beets in before it boils?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
It's
so
already
it
in
doesn't
it.
matter. Okay.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's fine. And miso soup.
This miso soup?
Yeah, this is the broth that I made this morning. Do you know dried shiitake?
Mm-hmm.
The people call it shiitake, but yeah, shiitake in Japanese.
Is that mushrooms?
It's a mushroom. I wanted to show you, but it's in here. It's this is only one kind of mushroom that grows during the daytime. The other mushroom grows at night. So it's very cooling, expanding. So again, the macrobiotics, we're thinking about food and food energetics. Nutrition, sure, but then it's interesting to think about the energy of the food. And then 2 categories is one is warming, one is cooling. So the mushrooms are actually very cooling. But only one kind, shiitake, is actually not that cooling because it grows during the daytime.
Where do you get this? Whole Food?
I think
Japanese?
so. Yeah, Japanese market or Whole Foods. Or if you go to Santa Monica, there's a market called Co-Opportunity.
Costco's cheaper.
Maybe, yeah. But be careful the one is coming from China.
No.
Because they put, what do you call it, formaldehyde? The preservatives, it's not great for us. Formaldehyde, right? Formaldehyde. Yeah, they put it in here, so please don't get those. Yeah, it's not great. So I'm gonna cut it.
soak them? Or?
Yeah, it's a dried, so you have to soak it. Like 15 minutes or
What
so.
about if you buy the fresh one? It's not the same?
It's not the same. You could during the summertime because it's more relaxing. But dry one is more medicinal. Because they sun dry, they dry it under the sun, so it shrinks. This has a very good detoxing
So does
property.
it come in a package or
Mhm.
or comes in a
Package.
Comes in a package.
Yeah.
Scratch my
So
stomach.
just take off the hard part.
The sunlight provides vitamin D
That's right.
through the mushrooms.
Yes, so the nutrient rich as well. But it's also not as cooling as fresh one. So the people who is healing from cancer, they can take this one. It's let's eat a lot of root veggies. This is the king of root veggies. And it's great.
Really beautiful.
Oh, thank you. So,
And
yeah.
you've got corn there too. So corn.
Yes.
Because that's about 3 corns.
Yes, it's cool. I just stripped the, the skin, and this one is great for miso soup as well. But I'm thinking to put it in the salad today because it's nice. Either way, this makes a very nice summertime miso soup. It makes it
Don't you have to
sweet.
cook the corn?
Yeah, I'm gonna cook it like a little bit. Yep. So I'm gonna chop this root vegetable. This is also tons of fiber. If you eat a lot of fiber-rich food, your intestine gets clean, right? Yeah. So please eat.
Can you make tea with the tea?
Oh yeah, you can make a tea. Yeah, I think
How are you
so.
saying that?
But
How are
I
you
don't know
spelling
if
it?
it's from the vegetable, or you can get the dried burdock to make tea. I think that's better.
How are you spelling that?
Burdock or gobo?
Whatever you're doing.
Gobo. It's the vegetable. It's G-O-B-O. It's the gobo. Gobo burdock.
Now what's burdock? Whatever. it was.
Burdock is it's a type of root vegetables.
And how do you spelling that?
Burdock, B-U-R-D-O-K, yeah.
Okay.
C-K, yeah. And then this is actually wintertime vegetable, so I just put it just to strengthen our blood, and also has tons of antioxidant as well, and then strengthen the lining of the intestine. But if you eat this a lot in the summertime, it's very warming. So, a little less than the winter time, but absolutely nice to eat it. I just put a little bit.
So if you make a lot, can you freeze this, put it in the freezer, or you have to have it all the same?
You mean soup or
I
salad?
mean, no, let's say you make a lot
Mm-hmm.
to save time. So can it
Yeah.
last all week, or you put it in the
I
refrigerator,
would say
or you put it in the freezer? How does that
depends
work?
on the cooking style. The usually longer cooking time, it lasts longer because the heat penetrates more to the food. Such as grain dish, it takes 1 hour or so. Or bean dish sometimes takes 1 hour or 1 hour and a half hours. Then that's considered to be long time cooking food. So that lasts, let's say 2-3 days in the fridge.
In the
It's
fridge.
okay.
But it's not going to
Yeah,
put in the freezer,
the
is
freezer, of course, it's not gonna rot,
Okay.
but the
So-
energy.
Yeah, okay. So,
will go.
so you put it in the refrigerator, okay.
Yeah, but then if you have to travel and if there's some circumstances, sure you have to do it. But usually, day-to-day cooking,
Okay,
it's best vitality we get from food is from fresh cooking.
okay, thanks.
Yeah. Oh, so the quinoa is nice.
Are you getting hungry? Are you getting hungry? Do you know that?
No. So it just stopped 20 minutes, so I just turned off the flame. And I'm gonna let it steam for a little bit.
Too bad when you take the camera, you can't capture the scent of it. So when you
Capture
watch
the-
it, we can just smell it.
Well, the
it's
camera can
nice.
smell lower.
Oh, yeah,
The
can you
camera's
smell?
hungry too.
So the corn, can you see I'm cutting? So I'm just cutting like rotating and then cutting the the kernels like that. So I can put it in the miso soup and also the core as well, because the core makes a really nice broth. So don't throw that away. Yeah.
I mean the inside, which is called the core, you can.
Oh, as a you can't eat it, but makes a nice broth. You can make a good stock out of it. So I usually cut it in half, like that, and then put in here. Oops. So it makes it nice broth. And yeah, since this is full, I'm actually going to put it in here. But let's wait. I'll let it cook a little bit. I want to start serving the miso soup soon. So let's see. And then towards the end of miso soup is already done pretty much. We put the greens in last always. So it's nice to have the miso soup having some roots, some seaweed. Usually it's wakame is the best one. And then greens towards the end, because the green doesn't take much
What
time.
kind of greens are you putting?
This is the bok choy.
Oh, the bok
The
choy.
bok
Okay.
choy, yeah. And then this is the colored greens. Oh, sorry, it's kale. Kale greens. Yeah. Dinosaur kale, it's called.
That's kale? Okay.
Mhm.
And the bok choy, let me just see, picture that. This stuff I need to
Just put it
buy.
here, yeah.
I would buy McDonald's, I'm just kidding. Okay.
Of the recipes?
I don't
Do
think
you have a recipe?
Oh, recipes in the back.
This is it. Okay.
Oh
good,
yes,
okay.
want to
the
show off the
recipe
kale.
Oh, good, bok choy, great.
can be
No,
a
I
little
didn't know
bit.
that.
You can vary the
It's good when
recipes,
I
you know.
buy it, I'll have it on the camera. Say, get me this.
We'll go shopping together,
Right,
Sandy.
okay.
Yeah. So the quinoa salad, I had to cool it, so I'm gonna put it in the bowl and let it cool.
And I love the red quinoa. It gives so much flavor.
But this is not red quinoa.
Oh, what
It's
kind
white quinoa with the beets.
Oh,
Yeah. So
right.
that's great.
I
It's
like
actually
the red
really
quinoa.
nice. Yeah, red
It
quinoa
gives
is
a
nice
lot of-
too.
It gives a lot of not just flavor, but also just color. I just like the color.
Yes. We are hungry for
I do have a
color.
quick question from the audience. Someone was asking about corn. Because recently there have been concerns about the way corn is grown and how it's been genetically modified.
Totally.
So how do you know where to buy corn and how to get it?
Please buy organic corns. That's the only corn is safe
Oh my
to eat.
goodness.
So there's a market. I trust Co-Opportunity in Santa Monica. They carry organic corns right now. It's in season. Whole Foods too, yeah. So please buy organic because the
I
other
have to
corns
return
are,
my 3 coins. I got it
unfortunately,
bronze.
yeah, it's not good.
So do you live down here? Do you live in this area? Or do you live up in Santa Monica?
I live in near Santa Monica, so I just
You don't go to our
know-
farmers markets down here to check them out.
No, but do they have farmers market? The
Yeah.
farmers that has
Yeah, it's like
organic?
a lot of the farmers markets.
Yeah?
and
Are
they
they
have a lot
organic
of
too?
organic.
Oh, that's great then.
This year organic corn.
Okay.
Corn is overprotected, so can't be
You
sprayed.
have a house?
Yeah.
One more house.
Okay. One thing, I'm gonna let it
She grows her own corn,
oh really? Oh, that's great.
so we'll all be over. Now that you made that announcement.
Spray it with
What about when you go to the restaurant, you have all that sushi, is that, the rice you shouldn't have, but what about the sushi? I mean, the fish and all, that's okay?
You mean the quality of fish?
When you go over to like sushi bars, you know, where they have the, instead of eating the rice, just have the sushi, like the tuna and all that. Is that good?
To eat tunas? Well, you also ask the quality of the fish too, you know, where it's farm raised or wild caught. I'm sure the price is different, but farm raised is, yeah, it's,
You want farm raised?
no,
You don't want
it's-
farm raised?
no,
No,
it's
wild
farm,
raised.
yeah, it's better, of course.
Wild, okay.
Because farm raised depends on the farmer too, but a lot of time they put a lot of antibiotics.
So if I go to the
hormones.
market, I ask for what, salmon, wild salmon?
Yes.
Okay.
We watched a video and they said they feed the farm, they're starting to feed the farm fish corn.
Wow.
Is that bad?
But it's
Because
not
they don't
natural.
naturally eat
No.
Yeah.
Is there on the farm?
It's, everything is corn now, and it's GM corn too, right? For sure.
Right.
So, can you think it's
How
yeah?
about you get this pressed?
Well, you're having a good day
back
today. So the miso. Let me see the other.
So now we find out what the chick.
So there's a two kinds of miso I brought today.
Oh, great.
One is called white miso, which is lighter color, kind of yellowish color.
Just see that.
And then it tastes sweeter. It tastes like sweet. It's a less fermented, like couple months. So it's very nice and light. Great to have this white miso paste during the summertime. Let me see. And then the other one is called 3-year aged barley miso, which is a lot darker. And then this is more medicinal. So people who's healing, I recommend to have this because it's more penetrate inside to heal it.
So when you go to a Japanese restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you get the lunch,
Miso
you know,
soup.
miso soup. Is it made like that or it's
No, a lot of restaurants, because they have to make money.
Right.
So I'm sure they have MSG in it, and you can
Okay.
ask the restaurant too and say,
I'll just
oh,
buy
please
that
have the
one.
no-MSG miso, then they might consider. Yeah.
So do you add water to this miso or you put the
Yes,
soup?
I'm going to add the greens first,
Oh.
and then I'm gonna add miso soup, and then I want to serve
And miso is one of the
great enzyme.
few probiotic foods that we
That's
have
right.
in our diet. So it does have probiotic qualities. They're
It's-
so
It's great. It has a living enzyme, right?
right.
You just
So
poured
much.
something that looked like it was in a
Great part.
bottle. You said that was miso, that water. I mean, that
sorry.
it was more yellow. I thought you said that was miso.
You mean the broth?
Or was that the broth? Yeah.
Pay
Oh,
attention,
oh,
Sam.
shiitake.
Yeah.
Shiitake.
The next to the bottle, so the water. Okay.
I'm gonna
Organic
take
sea
this one out.
vegetables are in this.
Oh, that's what they ferment. That's what the question.
Well, there's soy. They
Yeah, soy base.
Soybean.
So there's a gluten-free miso as well. Sometimes miso contains wheat, so if people have a celiac disease or very like allergic to wheat, then they can have like brown rice miso, maybe soybean miso is okay. So and chickpea miso is great.
Oh, wow.
So those are all gluten-free. But usually because it's aged a long time, white miso is only a couple months, so not so much healing. But it's very light, sweet taste, so it's nice for summertime. But like 3-year aged miso has so much enzyme, and it's because it's fermented like long time, it really penetrates deep inside and nourishes you like organs. So it's very very good to have it every day if you can. No, but a lot of people make a mistake to make it too salty, so just be careful. Usually start with 1 teaspoon and a cup of liquid. 1 teaspoon of miso and then a cup of liquid. It's the starter. To make a miso soup. So that's the guideline to have how much miso to put per cup.
So about how much is that jar?
Well, I'm gonna take it out and I have to try to.
I mean, how much does it cost when you buy it in the store for a jar?
This one is the nice one. So this is about like $16. Yeah,
Wow.
16 to 20, 16 to 9, yeah. But it's very nice. But there's other brand, it's called Miso Master, which is not expensive as this, but it's still nice too.
But this is better, yeah.
Yeah, this is
Well,
better.
of course we want the best. We're divas.
Yeah. There's another macrobiotic brand called Mitoku, which is nice too. MITOKU. White miso.
White miso.
What?
Where is a white miso?
Anyone
Oh,
have
you
white
put it in
miso?
the
Oh,
bag.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna mix it. Thank you.
Are we a good audience? We should give ourselves a hand or two.
Yeah,
That's
you
right.
guys doing good. Thank you.
We
I hope
participate.
you're getting hungry. So I'm gonna mix together. So nice to have some aged one too to have a good healing qualities. But,
The miso is fermented
different types of, what did you say, beans, like
Mhm.
soybeans or
Sometimes
rice?
soybean, sometimes just the rice. Sometimes garbanzo beans. It's very good miso, sweet.
When you say garbanzo beans, the only garbanzo beans I know are in a can. You're not about the one in a can, right?
No, they cook the beans.
Dry.
Or dry, okay.
Yeah, the dry beans. They cook the beans. They soak the beans and cook the beans, and then ferment with this culture called koji, which is like it's like great bacteria. It's very good for us
How do you
too.
spell koji?
Koji, Koji. Actually, that's one of the ingredients for Japanese sake too. Amazake as well. It's ingredients.
You're
to
not
make
saying
a- to
sake,
make a-
are you?
Yes, sake. Yeah,
The
sure.
drink, the alcohol, the drink?
Yeah,
Sake,
sometimes.
I love sake.
Yeah, I love it too.
Do you have a website?
Oh,
webpage?
me?
Mhm.
Not yet, but it's coming. Yeah.
So koji is actually
Koji.
aspergillus or rhizine, and aspergillus is a form of yeast. It's actually a form of
Okay.
a mushroom, or well, it's a yeast. It's a fungus.
Right.
Koji is?
Koji is. So we cook it a little bit, not raw.
Historically, or I should say clinically, yeast-style probiotics are very good for people with bloating and gasiness.
Mm.
So one that we commonly use is called Saccharomyces boulardii, and you can buy it over the counter for people with IBS and bloating. Do you find that miso helps with bloating?
I think so. But especially it's not raw koji, it's aged.
Right.
So it's just product of to make it ferment. So after like aging like so long, like 3 years, I think it's something turning into really like healing properties. I don't know if it's same as other probiotic, but yeah, it's great. Yeah. Okay, a little bit more. So when you add miso, please be like low flame, so don't cook it because we don't want to kill that good enzyme. And I'm gonna toss this corn in here to make it summertime miso soup today. Okay. Then a little more. Not you. Any other question about miso soup? Good. And salad is cooling. Still has to cool it a little bit more. I'm gonna toss some cucumber. Already chopped. Sometimes I make this nice dressing for this with the olive oil. So maybe for this portion, maybe like 2 tablespoons. The oil is nice. It's nice for summertime. It
Is it
relaxes
olive
you.
oil?
Olive oil. Then I always cook the oil a little bit because, yeah, you don't have to cook so much for olive oil. But it's nice to have a little bit heated because it's assimilate inside better.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's more warming.
So there's so many different kinds of olive oil. Any particular brand you recommend, or doesn't matter?
I love this olive oil. The guy from Farmers Market, Adam's Ranch.
Adam's Ranch?
Adam's Ranch.
Are you saying Adam's Ranch?
Adam's Ranch.
Okay.
Olive oil. I don't know if they come around here, but they have like many vendors in farmers markets. And their olive oil is fantastic. I really love it. So I'm gonna add some oil, water. Yep.
It was not possible to add green onions, chopped green onions to the soup.
Yes, I'm gonna serve it as a garnish in the end. Yes. Sure. Some salt. 바질하네. Okay. Wow, we made a lot of miso. Okay, so we can serve the miso. Should I go ahead and serve? Yeah. Okay. So how do you like it? 그래만이 먹는 거 같거든요. Doron, do you have any like paper cups
Yes,
that we can serve?
Yeah, we
Okay.
have bowls actually.
Okay, cool. Okay. So we can go ahead and serve.
Right, it's there, it's front, right? I'm not asking with that.
But you just put the corn in. It's not cooked.
Yeah, well, it's been here maybe 5 minutes. So it's enough, of course.
The nice thing about soup is that actually it sometimes keeps cooking, right? Because the soup is very hot. So the things that you put in it, if you leave it in until it's, sometimes it will get a little soggy.
Yeah.
So I think that with soup, sometimes it's not a bad idea
To leave it, yeah.
to turn off the fire a little bit earlier, so you can kind of let it sit, let
That's
the vegetables
true.
kind of sit
Right.
there.
I have a question. Okay, so I take my corn, now I'm gonna get organic corn. I put a little Kangen water in, but I do put it in the microwave oven, is that bad?
Not so great.
Not good?
Microwave oven, yeah. That's
Okay.
one of the things I don't really recommend.
Okay,
I
so
don't
you
know
should
what
put
Doron
it in.
says. Maybe there's a conflict
I don't
also.
know, what do you think?
But to me,
I put
it's,
for 4 minutes.
yeah, to me it's nice to have a real fire because it's the life, because the fire, the real fire is the one that warms us to give us life. Because it's, I don't know so much about microwave as
The
a
taste is
structure.
delicious.
The thing is,
Yeah.
But I wanna
but
know,
the
the health-wise,
same
which
level.
is better?
Sandy has to go from audition to audition.
I have time.
As-
No, I have time, I
She's a
can.
very busy woman.
No, I have
Okay.
time, I just wanna know which is, so you suggest it's
I
healthy to put it in
understand
a
that,
pot, right?
Yeah. It's,
Okay, then I'll do that in a
it's-
pot.
It's better. Yeah. for the
But
health
we
wise.
understand, Sandy, if you have an audition and you
I
have to run,
understand.
you can use the
I
microwave.
understand.
No, but I won't, I'm never in that much of a hurry.
Yeah. Okay.
Like a little bit, like
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Yeah, microwave oven. Right.
And mine's Viking on top of it.
Oh, okay.
Let me get my shoes out of the way.
I'm gonna start here with you. Would you like that?
Thank you, Annie.
Sure, thank you.
Alright. So,
That's right here. Oh, hot still.
Yeah, maybe a little bit hot.
thank you.
You have this
That's
one.
why I sat in the front.
I'll put a little bit ginger.
Lips. God, will you marry me?
You like it?
Do we make a toast first?
Bon appetit. Ginger juice.
You like
Do you like some ginger juice?
Thank
you.
one?
And yours?
Okay, one very little, like just a touch.
Okay.
She just wants to try one spoon.
Excuse me. I have a question.
Huh?
One
You did not add ginger to the soup.
I know, I just added to it. Just I forgot to add yours. But you don't have to. But I thought it was nice to
Yeah, because
lighter.
One just
Yeah,
so you
lighter
could use the
effect.
fresh ginger.
This
It's
is
fine.
grated
Do
ginger.
you want a whole cup?
Yeah, I just added in there.
It's
Would you like
it's
to add it
a
in
lot.
yours?
Okay.
you
What do
like
you think,
it?
just a little bit?
Yeah.
Is it too
Just,
spicy?
just
Just give
spicy.
her half, like a third of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
Let's see if I can get around. How much time I have to bug. For you.
It changes taste, doesn't it?
What do you think, Sandy? Do you like it better after or before?
It's
Yeah,
both,
just a little bit.
it's not very salty, because Denise is we get this
Do you want
restaurant
some
very salty.
green onion? No green onion? Oh, no, just one of yours.
Mm-hmm.
This has a lot of flavor.
Okay. What do you like?
So say again what's in the miso soup. Tell what's the
In the
ingredients?
miso soup, let's see.
Is that the recipe we have?
Yeah.
So you put the lemon juice in?
Yeah, it's in there pretty much. I put wakame, the seaweed, I put the shiitake,
Eat her soup with a fork.
and also onions,
That's for the winter though.
corn, and some greens, daikon, radish, root vegetables, gobo vegetables, so it's a root, and then carrots.
And the corn's delicious, it's already cooked. The corn,
Yeah, it's cooked,
the
right?
corn is cooked already.
Yeah? Okay.
So this is pork chai, this is what you call
Bok choy. Yeah.
So please remind us why it's good to eat.
I don't want any more.
Why it's good to eat it?
All together, yeah.
Well, it activates our digestion, so it's nice to have in the morning too. Like, it's a lightly salted, it's savory.
So you could have this for your breakfast?
You could,
Oh.
yeah.
Of course.
As Japanese growing up, that's our breakfast actually.
Wow.
Yeah. But don't make it salty in the morning because that will make you hungry throughout the day. So like light miso soup, lighter, which is nice. Strengthening blood. It's certainly antioxidant, and of course it's cleansing body. You know. So many beneficials. You know, great enzymes for your intestinal flora. Yeah.
So I'm interested in the shortcut version.
Shortcut version.
Busy
Okay.
life, right?
Sure.
So,
Yeah, sure.
And I like to cut my own produce.
Mhm.
I like to do it.
Sure.
I wouldn't mind cutting it all up and having it ready, and then I can use it through the week. does
I
it-
don't know for whole week.
Well,
but,
maybe 3 days. but
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you think that there is Japanese market that maybe has already prepared, cut up foods that you can use in a miso soup that you could just buy them ready to go?
Actually, I never seen it. I've seen it in Trader Joe's. They're already cut and packaged.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that. Yeah, but of course it's better to cut it and then
Of course.
energy-wise.
Well,
but yeah, but sure.
And there's more to it than
But
that. It's
still,
also just putting your
yes.
own energy into what
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
doing and all of that. I know, but it's a
But
busy
life.
time with
Totally
kids
understand.
and work
Mhm.
stuff.
But still, home cooking is the center of our healing. So if you just eat out or like packaged food, we can't be healthy. So really is the home cooking is the center of our health. That's I really wanted to say that. So thank you, you do.
Now, do you believe in cheese or you don't? No
Not
cheese?
so much in dairy.
Huh?
Yeah, I
No
don't
dairies?
Yeah, no dairies. It's because it really creates mucus in your system. It's clogs everywhere. But it might have some nutrient, but
And no meat either, right?
yeah, well, less.
what
I don't
about-
say no, you know, because
What
some
about
people want
eggs?
it.
No eggs?
Less eggs, less animal protein. less-
Because when they serve wonton soup, they serve egg in it, don't they?
You know, eggs everywhere.
So what kind of meats do you ever have?
I don't really eat. I eat fish once in a while. Fish is pretty much enough for us. But
What kind of fish?
yeah,
What kind?
white fish is
Oh,
the
white
best.
fish?
White fish. Halibut, sole,
my God.
orange rafi. All these white fish are very nice.
Yes, whatever
You
you
can
need
have
to
it
get.
once or twice a week.
I'm like that
But
too.
then
I
do you-
start a little bit and then
Put it in a frying pan, or how do you make your fish, or boil it?
You can steam it. You can put it in a soup.
I want some too.
But you don't put it in a frying pan with oil.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll fry it. Certainly. People who need strength, then fish can be strengthening. It's nice to have it.
It's delicious.
Yeah, but I don't really say like meat is bad, but you know some people might need it. Like people who live in like Arctic, they need to sustain the heat. Then you know, Eskimo people eat only like meat, right? Pretty much, because that's the only thing they can get there.
Right.
But they're living according to their environment. That's how they live to sustain the heat. So that's according. They're living macrobiotically.
Very good.
What does macrobiotic mean again?
It's meaning big life. Macro is big. Biotic is life. So it's like a lifestyle, living in balance. So like eating according to season, eating according to where you live, and eating according to our environment and condition day to day. So it's really how to make balance ourselves. So when we become in balance, then we get more intuition, so that give us like good judgment. So we can choose good things in life.
Is that Japanese? Or
It's the modern macrobiotics is taught by Japanese teachers. So that's one of the reasons that like we use miso and seaweed.
Delicious.
But it could be adapted to any kind of culture and cuisine. So yeah, so it's everywhere.
It's delicious, Sachi.
It's
Yeah.
great.
Okay. Good.
Very
job.
good.
All right. So we're gonna finish up.
And the corn is delicious in
Addition
there.
of the kale. I've never had kale in miso soup.
No. Yeah. You make miso soup? Doron?
Yeah,
You
we
do?
do, but we make it much simpler. Usually just the miso and the seaweed and some mushrooms and the scallions. Sometimes some tofu. I noticed you did not use any tofu. And we also have been recently staying away from processed soy, but I like the addition of kale. I've never done that before.
You have to cook kale first, don't you? It's
Last.
raw, and then you put kale in there.
Yeah.
I've never bought kale.
And also, one thing is, I like to cook salt a little bit because it's again it's assimilate in the body better.
Kale is very rich
So we're gonna add some more dressing into
It's
salt.
also a great source of vitamin K. K2 you have in miso. Miso is a good source of K2, vitamin K2.
Vitamin K, I believe
But
so.
vitamin K2 is very different from vitamin K1.
Okay.
Vitamin
I don't know
K2
much about
is
it.
very important for osteoporosis. It helps incorporate calcium into bones. You only find vitamin K2 from fermented foods because it's made by bacteria. Sauerkraut, kimchi, miso. But most of the vitamin K2 in our body is actually comes from our own bacteria. But of course, we have a society where we're eating a lot of sugar and a lot of refined carbs, so we're starving healthy populations of bacteria, and maybe that's a contributor to the high rates of osteoporosis in the Western world.
Do you have some?
Did you
Oh, yeah.
mention
After.
Make sure you have
that there's
some.
liquid vitamin K you can put into your
There is liquid
Make sure you
vitamin.
have
dropper
some.
form? Is that how it comes?
Make sure you
Yep, I
have
have it
some.
here.
Yes,
Vitamin
make sure you
K2
have
along with vitamin D3. I have
That's
K2 and D3 together. I think we just got more today.
Do they support each other? Is that why you have them
Well,
together?
D3 helps absorb calcium, and K2 helps deposit the calcium into the bones. K2 is important for holding osteocalcin.
Yeah.
Osteocalcin is a protein that delivers calcium to the bones.
But I teach private publicly now. So. Yeah.
Because bone is a lot more than just calcium. There is magnesium,
Really good,
there
isn't it?
is
Have you had it?
boron,
It's delicious.
there is zinc and copper and selenium in bone. Nowadays we're using strontium to try to strengthen bone as well, to reduce osteoarthritis as well as osteoporosis. But bone is a lot more than just calcium, and we've been focusing so much on calcium as a source of mineral in the bone. It is the main mineral in bone, but there's more to that. So that's why you see bone supplements nowadays include also zinc and magnesium. And vitamin D helps absorb calcium. Vitamin D upregulates calcium transporters in the blood. So vitamin D is for increasing absorption of calcium. Vitamin K2 is for depositing calcium into the bones.
What's the one vegetable that has the most calcium?
I don't know. what is it, broccoli or spinach? Which
Your darkest one.
The darkest one has.
As possible, and they all just complement each other. Like Dr. Kahana was just saying about the vitamin D and the calcium, there's so many other vitamins out there that complement each other. Like vitamin C and iron, that helps you absorb the iron is other vitamin C. Now you can eat oranges with your greens or stuff like that. And also just the amount of time to prepare, it makes you care more about when you sit down and eat. I notice when I get something to eat, I'm just like, oh, I gotta eat it before it flies away. No, but like sitting down and eating, that's so important, and something I'm working on too. But I notice I sit down and I'm slower when I take longer to prepare a meal, like she just did.
And you get to nibble while you cook.
Yes.
No, you never brought up. I like to have wine with my dinner.
And a good snack.
Okay. So it's more than just a diet. It's really, you know, lifestyle and eating habits.
So
It
good.
really affects our health. Really it is. So like number one, sit down to regular meals every day. Just sit down and eat. Do nothing else.
And chew.
Then chew well. Yeah, it really is makes a huge difference.
I have to do that.
I know, just sit down and eat, even for snacks. Like meal, consider at least having 20 minutes. Like less than 20 minutes, it doesn't consider to be a meal. So please sit down, especially at lunch and dinner. It's nice to have 20 minutes longer or more to sit down and eat.
So this has a lot of fiber, right? This has
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
a whole
fiber.
grain, so it has fiber as well. It's simple. Number two is eat slowly too well. Yeah. I say.
Yeah, very good.
Number three is stop eating 3 hours before bedtime. So it's good to have a empty stomach to go to bed because the body can rest. So it's important to eat 6 o'clock dinner and then after that stop eating. That actually lose weight.
I know.
Yeah, or like don't eat anything after dinner. It's really benefits for weight loss.
You have to go to bed later.
No, it's not the same.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. Right. Yeah. And then eat cereal, grains, and vegetable dishes with every meal, like you did today. You know, so it's nice to have some kind of whole grain as a base, and then vegetable dish. And then beans are great protein. Sometimes bean products, sometimes fish. Yeah.
No, I want the salad out of the cup.
Oh, okay. Salad's okay. It's kind of lighter. I didn't dress too much, but yeah, it's really nice to have just
It's
less.
only oil in here.
No, I didn't know
There's
we had.
olive oil,
Sorry.
ginger juice,
Sorry.
and lemon
Thank you.
juice.
Oh, so you put to make the dressing, you put the olive oil in here.
In the pan to heat up with some sea salt,
Right.
and then ginger juice,
So you have ginger juice, you put
and
it
then
there
lemon
too.
juice, and then zest as well.
And did you all put it in the pan? In the-
Except the lemon juice.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. And then right.
Was that a paper? Oh, great.
So just having a variety of food. Please don't eat the same thing over and over. The varieties, you know, every day different is best.
When I like something, I just eat it over.
I know, it's easy too. But then we get stuck in the same food. It's not our mind getting like stuck, like we can't see anything else. You know? Yeah.
I'm wondering,
Where's the other? Oh,
how do you feel about mixing fruit in with salad?
In the salad, well, usually grain and fruits won't go together. Will not good combination to eat for digestion, right, doctor?
In some people, I think
Yeah,
it's
but
very
then
individual.
as a salad, sometimes okay for. I sometimes put like grape in a grain salad, as a salad, but
Because
not
I
like
think
cooked
that maybe
together.
pear would be
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
okay?
Mm-hmm. Then like chilled salad, not like hot or
Yeah.
not cooked. Yeah. I sometimes cook oatmeal with fruits, but yeah, that's the only time I cook the grain with the fruits. Not so much, you know, for digestive issue, right? To eat grain with the fruits so much.
Because
It's not-
the stomach can compartmentalize.
Mhm.
So for some people that can't compartmentalize food very well, it takes longer to digest, let's say,
Yeah.
grain, which has to, it just takes longer to really break it down, versus fruit. I mean, the peel can take longer, but the actual fruit meat can be digested quite rapidly. And if it sits in the stomach along with the grain, it can get fermented and create gases. So some people, for example, will not eat watermelon together with food for that reason. But I find it to be very individual. I think that some people who can, their stomach can compartmentalize, and it's really interesting. We don't have multiple chambers like, you know, bovine, like cows, but the stomach can actually separate some food. Some it will push up to the fundus, some it will bring down to the body or the antrum. And we all know from our own experience that sometimes you can burp and the sensation is of something that you...
I want to make sure you have a...
Yeah. You loved it.
I love it. Oh my God.
Okay. Now you know how to make it.
The recipe.
And you watched it right there, so you got it.
Sachi.
Where can you get more information? Are you going to be, do you do this often at anywhere else? Every day?
Yeah, I usually teach in the west side at my place.
Where's your place? Do you have a car?
West LA. Yeah, I have a car.
You want to post a car?
But if you get enough people in Toronto, I could come as if you provide place and
Where can people find you and get more information about you and anything that if they want to have help from you for anything? Where can they find you?
Oh,
The card.
Website? You have a website?
I'm working on it. I have a Facebook, but yeah, I haven't have a website yet. I just leave it here, so you can just contact me and.
She has her cards up here if you want.
Yeah, and then just email me so I can put you on our email.
What's your email?
list.
What's your email?
It's a Sachi Kato.
Oh, that's right.
Gmail.
It was on here, right? It's on here, correct?
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.